Speak with you again, Daniel. And today this is going to be another interesting topic, the displacement effect in cargo theft.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. It's always nice to discuss these things. As a scholar, you're always interested in discussing your research results. So it's nice.
Yeah, and my first question is, why does cargo theft continue to occur in the transport network despite all implemented countermeasures?
The answer to that lies outside the logistics sector or the supply chain sector, whatever you call it, because we are producing desirable items. That's what we want to produce, because that means that we can sell them. The problem comes if you can sell them, someone would like to steal them. So we can't really solve the problem with actually people wanting our goods without. If we stop producing goods people want, then they don't steal it. But that creates a bigger problem. So we will continue having these problems regardless of what we're doing. What we can address is the size of the problem and where it occurs and how it occurs, and hopefully getting down to a decent level which we can withstand from both from a society point of view and also from a company economical point of view, that this is an acceptable level. To reduce it even further would cost too much or something like that. So we continue occurs as long as we have very desirable objects.
Can you talk about what are the implications of this?
The implication of this is it's quite simple. If let's say that you're the top brand of something. In this example, we can use mobile phones because that's a very desirable product. And you launch a new model of your flagship mobile phone, whatever company you are. You will want people to have that phone, want to buy it. But the criminals, they understand that you're marketing it, you want to make sure that the market wants it, which means they can also supply the market by stealing from you. So that's one of the implications for it. So that's sometimes the demand for black goods is the cook in the nest for the marketing, which leads to cargo crimes. On the other hand, if we know this, we could increase the security efforts temporarily before a launch of a product in order to make sure that it sells through the proper channels, everything legal, with the brand owner earning as much money as they were planning to own from the beginning. And you can say it the other way around. Your last mobile phone, whatever company name you have, just before you launch a new one, will be automatically dropping in demand because everybody knows there comes a new one. So you could, in that sense, argue also for a reduction in security, but I wouldn't recommend that because then would we really make it relative, and that is not really how we reduce it in the grand scale.
Examples in dealing with cargo theft.
The most prominent example is high-value goods, especially home electronics, bit into it, and actually from that region we have the TARPA initiative, which comes from high-value technology assets from the beginning. They are realizing the manufacture of these types of products, very theft-enabled products. They realized in the 90s that the transport chain was the really weak link when it comes to protection. So they formed an association. There is now 3 of this, one in the Americas, one in EU, Middle East and Africa, and one in the Asia. And from that, they formulated a number of standardized security settings, especially for terminals, but later on even for trucks and for and so on. So they're looking into what is actually a decent security level. This is a good example because it's structured. These security standards are publicly available. So you and I can just go into any TARPA website and download the latest requirement and thereby seeing in detail what they consider to be elements that builds up a good security around a terminal building. What is interesting in that is that this is standardized, which means that it doesn't really take into account the local threats, which means that in some places in the world, a top by A level for a building will be too high. The only thing that comes negative out of that is maybe a little bit higher cost for implementing that and withstanding it, which means nothing more or less. The problem comes in other places where the top A level, even if it's detailed and good security, it will be too soft, too weak. So there you need additional. But every standardized systems that are placed in a relative surrounding have this problem. So this is no surprise. The question comes always, where do we make the standard settings in such a way that it's good from a security point of view without being too costly for all involved partners? That's a trick.
And my last question, which maybe I should have asked first, is how do you define the displacement effect in cargo theft? In a summary, what is it? How would you summarize?
The summarizing of that is the dynamics of cargo theft. If you increase security in one area or one object becomes less desirable, you can have unwanted effects in some else area. For instance, if you increase security way too much in a certain area, a certain type of crime will cease to occur. But you will probably hear another type of crime coming up. One good example in the grander scale of this is the introduction of the internet, because it's opened up a bunch of new types of crimes that we couldn't think of just before the 90s, because you couldn't do them without the internet. So that's also a displacement effect, that it changes places, it changes how it's done, which means that the preventive effects need to be dynamic as well and follow how they change. Sometimes traditional thieves realize that we can't do this anymore because we get caught. So they stop doing this, but then other persons realize, whoa, here's a security gap, we can use this. Which means that security can never be static in a bigger area. You always need to address coming future problems. And in cargo theft, sadly, I think the trend is going towards more violent thefts and maybe more fraudulent thefts. But that's only guess I can make from recent statistics in EU. You never really know how it ends up in the long run.
Well, thank you, Daniel, for sharing today on this topic.
Thank you very much. You can always read my papers and find more details. And of course, I'm happy to answer all questions on email.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.